Hey there! Today we're going to break down a trading system that's all about syncing up with the market's rhythm instead of constantly fighting against it. It's called the VWAP wave, and honestly, it's all about learning to understand and just react to the market's true flow. So let me ask you something right off the bat, because it's a question every single trader has to face. Are you out there every day trying to predict the market, or have you figured out a way to just flow with it? That's the big problem we're tackling here, making that huge shift from a mindset of prediction to one of alignment. So here's how we're going to do it. First, we'll dive into the philosophy, the big idea behind it all. Then, we'll build out our trading map. After that, we get to the fun part. 4 core setups, a daily checklist to keep you honest, and finally, we'll wrap it all up so you can really master the flow. Okay, first things first, the philosophy. Because look, before you even think about clicking a button, you have got to get the mindset behind this whole approach. It's really about learning to think like the market. And this, right here, is the absolute core of it all. It's this fundamental shift in how you think. Over on one side, you've got predicting. You're always trying to guess what's next, which is, let's be honest, exhausting and usually wrong. But on the other side, you have aligning. You're just observing what the market is actually doing right now, and you position yourself based on that. We're not trying to be fortune tellers here, we're just reactors. So this whole way of thinking really boils down to 3 simple but powerful beliefs. First up, market persistence. An object in motion tends to stay in motion, right? Well, the same thing is often true for the market. Second, no prediction, which we just talked about. And third, and this one is absolutely crucial, acceptance is key. What that means is we don't chase moves. We let the market prove to us that it's comfortable at a new price. All right, so we've got the philosophy down. Now let's actually build out our trading map. These are going to be the key tools and concepts you'll have up on your screen every single day. Okay, right at the center of our map, we have the VWAP. That's the volume-weighted average price. Now, don't just think of it as some simple average line. It's way smarter than that. This is the true average price because it pays more attention to the price levels where the most shares were actually traded. It's basically the market's center of gravity for the day. Now, branching out from that central VWAP line, we get what's called the value area. This is just the space between 2 bands that sit above and below the VWAP. I want you to think of this area as the market's home base, or its comfort zone. It's the price range where most of the action has happened, where buyers and sellers have kind of agreed on what's fair. So what happens when the price decides to leave that comfort zone? Well, that's what we call price discovery. When price gets outside of the value area, it's basically exploring. It's on a quest, actively searching for a new level of value. For us, this is like the uncharted territory on our map, and it's a huge signal that something might be changing. And this leads to this really cool, really powerful idea, the VWAP magnet. You see, when the price is hanging out inside that value area, that comfort zone, it has this incredibly strong tendency to get pulled back toward the central VWAP line, almost like a magnet. This one dynamic is something we can build whole strategies around. All right, philosophy? Check. Map? Check. And now for the really good stuff, the 4 core repeatable setups that turn all these ideas into actual trades you can execute. Okay, setup number 1 is the continuation. So the situation here is a strong trend, right? Price has broken out of that home base, the value area, and it's exploring. But here's the key. We do not chase it. Nope. We wait for the market to show acceptance at this new level, and then we look for a chance to get in on a little pullback to the edge of that old value area. It's a classic trend-following move, but with a much smarter, lower risk entry. Now, setup 2 is basically the opposite. We call it fading the value area. This is for those days when the market is just chilling, trading sideways inside its comfort zone. The whole play here is to trade from one edge of the zone to the other. So you'd look to sell near the top band when price looks weak, or buy near the bottom band when it looks strong, all while betting that VWAP magnet is going to pull the price back to the middle. It's a pure reversion to the mean strategy. Next up, the return to value. This is the setup for when that price discovery mission we talked about fails. The market broke out, it looked around, but it couldn't find any buyers or sellers up there. So when it breaks back inside the value area, that is a super powerful signal. It often means the breakout was false and a ton of traders are now trapped. We look to get in once it's safely back inside, betting it's now heading straight back to the VWAP. But hey, a really important heads up on that return to value setup, you've got to be ready, because these moves can be violent. The guide specifically warns that you might not get that nice, clean little pullback, what traders call a backtest. Sometimes the rejection is so fierce that the only way in is on that initial powerful explosion back into the value area. And finally, we have the VWAP bounce. This one is perfect for those wild, high volatility days when price is just zipping back and forth across the range. Here, we use that central VWAP line itself, our magnetic center of gravity, as our key level. We're literally just waiting for the price to come down and test the VWAP, and our trigger to get in is seeing a strong move away from it, confirming that line is holding up. But you've got to be really careful with this one. That VWAP line is a major battleground. The source material makes a point to warn you, expect traps. You'll see things where the price dips just below the VWAP for a second and then snaps right back above it. And that's exactly why confirmation is so important. You have to see the market decisively move away from the VWAP, not just tag it. So we've got the philosophy, we've got the 4 setups, but how do you put this all together when the market is moving and things are happening fast? Well, that's where your daily checklist comes in. This is all about discipline. Seriously, think of this like your pre-flight checklist. Step 1, every time, identify your context. Are we in value or are we in price discovery? That immediately tells you which setups you should even be looking for. Step 2, wait for acceptance. Be patient, don't jump the gun. Step 3, know your target. A simple rule is if you're inside value and price crosses the VWAP, that magnet is probably pulling it to the opposite band. And finally, step 4, and this is non-negotiable, manage your risk. Always place your stop loss right beyond the wick of the candle that got you into the trade. Phew, we have covered a ton of ground here, all the way from high-level thinking down to nitty-gritty tactics. So let's boil all of this down into the most important things you need to remember to really master the market's flow. Look, if you walk away with anything from this, let it be this simple framework. Stop predicting, start aligning. Always know where you are on your map. Are you in value or price discovery? Let the market show you acceptance before you do anything. Use that VWAP like your magnetic North Star. And for goodness sakes, follow your checklist every single day. And that's a wrap. You now have the whole framework, the mindset, the map, and the plays. So the only real question left is, are you ready to finally stop fighting the market and start reading the story it's trying to tell you every day?